One of my favorite rides in the U.S. is when I get the opportunity to cut across Washington State and ride along the Columbia River Gorge, which forms the border between Washington and Oregon. The inlet that is formed by the gorge comes inland quite a ways from the coast and allows for a lot of shipping activity. It's fresh water at this point, but the closer you get to the ocean, it becomes salt. The highway we're on right now, heading towards Portland, starts out as a small two-lane, gradually becomes a four-lane. You can tell some scenery on the south side here, some rock formations. It is very dry, very arid, hot country, and not a lot of rainfall in this particular area. Once we get to the north side of the gorge, just north of Portland, we actually start to get into a little bit different environment. Greener, more lush. The gorge is on the left-hand side, basically right over the cliff. And this ride along the north side of the Columbia River Gorge is really quite pleasant. The road twists, turns, asphalt is excellent, and they're throwing some tunnels along the way, some bridges. It's a very pleasant ride. You can also see that there's marsh flats, marshes on each side, one on the right-hand side, one on the left-hand side. Of course, a lot of seabirds, a lot of marine wildlife in this particular area. And again, more tunnels. Eventually, we'll make our way to I-5 and start to head north. We're looking for the cutoff to Long Beach. Following the signage, unfortunately, I find myself going back over a bridge from Washington State back into Oregon. Not really what I wanted to do, but that's the way the road's taking me. And the GPS says it is actually the fastest route to Astoria, which is on the Oregon side of the Columbia River, but directly south of Long Beach. So we'll follow the GPS and take the route that it dictates for us, and we'll head to Astoria. I don't mind going to Astoria. It's quite a historic little place, and of course we get to cross back across the river on another huge historic bridge. These bridges are just absolutely mammoth. Quite spectacular to ride over. You're really up in the air quite a ways. These bridges are nothing special when you look at bridges that are built today, but when you think back to the time period when they were built, they were engineering marvels, and the fact that they're still standing and in full use today is really quite a tribute to the engineering and the quality of work that went into them when they were built. Now we're heading west again towards Astoria, and again back onto the same highway that we left east of Portland and crossed over the Columbia River to actually get off this highway, and here we are back on it again. But as we get away from Portland and get closer to Astoria, it reverts back to a nice two-lane highway. Not a lot of twists and turns in it, but traffic's moving along. We finally get to Astoria and start the climb up to the bridge. This is just absolutely amazing. The twist and the turn you make to get onto the entrance to the bridge. You're driving by the second floor of homes on one side of you, or looking down on the roofs of homes, and this just keeps climbing and climbing and turning. And look at the size of this structure. Over the Columbia River. This is where the Columbia River actually empties into the Pacific Ocean. The width across here has got to be a couple of miles. And again, these old structures, I don't know how high up in the air we are, but we are quite a ways up. A little bit of maintenance work happening on this one. And I would assume in this salty marine environment that the maintenance work on these bridges is ongoing and never stops. You basically start at one end, might take a year or two to get all the way across the bridge to the other end, and then you come back and you start all over again. Some pretty heavy equipment up here. A lot of workers dangling over the side. So now we're coming down off the high part of the bridge, where the part that's high enough for freighter traffic to pass underneath. We'll drop down onto the causeway and look at the distance that we still have to the North Shore. That's got to be at least a mile or another 2 miles to get across the mud flats and the salt flats here, and get over to the actual mainland. You can see on the left hand side some of the mud flats, tides out. And here we are going across the causeway again. Another small bridge for smaller boat traffic to get under. And again, no small bridge, it's fairly long. Keeps going and it keeps going. We'll hit the end of it here shortly, and then we will see the intersection up ahead at the base of the mountain, where we turn right and start to head over to I-5 to go up to Seattle, or we turn left, which we're going to do, follow the coast around to Long Beach. This piece of highway follows very close to the coast all the way up to Long Beach, and Long Beach is only 20 minutes or half hour up the road. And again, more tunnels are everywhere along this route. As farther north we go, we start to move out from under the cloud cover and actually start to get some blue sky, until we're back into the rain again. Blue sky didn't last for long. A more modest structure to cross another small inlet. This is just north of Long Beach. This is the start of the old Pacific Coast Highway in Washington State. This used to be an awesome piece of road to ride. It used to hug the coast all the way up around the inlets and to Seattle. Most of this road now has moved inland, and it's very hard in Washington State to ride along the ocean on this old 2-lane road, which is a shame, because it is just an absolute joy to ride. Beautiful, beautiful. Lots of twists, lots of turns, excellent asphalt, not a lot of traffic, and the ocean is, or the inlets are always right on the left-hand side, so you hug the ocean as close as you can get to it following on this old road. It's been an awesome trip. Lots of rain this time around, as you can see by the little bubble on the camera that doesn't seem to want to go away. But we also had some dry days, but we saw some awesome country, crossed some awesome bridges, and in general just had an awesome 10 days on the road.